Okay, welcome to the explanation for the Yogi book test. This is another lovely book test from Animan. I honestly can't decide if I like this one or the previous one, which was called Between the Lines, more. They're both just so fair, and this one's maybe ever so slightly harder, but it is looks even more fair. So there's kind of a trade-off here, but it's really not that much harder. And also the other one is like so easy that saying it's harder than that one. This one still isn't hard. It's just slightly harder. So this is still an amazing. This is just a great book test. Really excited to go over it. Just a quick note though, I would actually recommend watching the above one first because I just talk about book tests at a lot more length and I go in over some really cool extra bonus ideas and things you can do with a book test. Um, and you'll probably find that useful to know for this one. For now, I'm just going to go through the explanation for this one quite quickly though, but feel free to consult the one above for more info and depth about book tests. So we begin with a borrowed deck and a book that we have some words pre-memorized in. I'll get to those words in a moment. But first of all, we're going to have this book sort of randomly selected, so to speak. And to do that, we have it on our shelf, we take it out, we take out another book, and then at this point, this is just, as Animan says, a nice additional wrinkle, something that will feel important, relevant to the method, or just add to the mystery to the audience, but it just doesn't impact the method. We can have a spectator select the third book, or we can select it ourselves. Either way, there'll be 3 books on the table, so let's just do that real quick. So here we have 3 books. One of them is the one that we want to end up using, and we have 2 more books, Royal Road to Card Magic and Designing Miracles by Darwin Ortiz. Really sad to hear about his recent passing. Darwin Ortiz has had just such a massive impact on the way that I and we both kind of see, perform, and construct magic. It's really impossible to overstate that. We didn't meet Darwin ourselves personally, but we've heard that he was also, perhaps more importantly, a really kind and generous person. And his legacy is just, it's massive. It's touched us, it's touched so many people, and just wanted to pay homage to Darwin Ortiz. Okay, so we have 3 books. This is the book we want to force. We're going to do what Animan calls an out and out force. And this is a really, as he says, it's a really neat little force that when done quickly just feels so fair, but it's always going to end with this book. So we ask our spectator to pick up any 2 books. Now, if they pick up 2 books aside from the force book, we say perfect, put them down or put them to the side, which leaves us with this. Well, we don't even say which leaves us with this one. We don't need to call attention to that. It just will leave us with this one. So, yeah. Now pick up any 2, and then if they pick these 2 up, say, okay, put them to the side, perfect. Wait for time to pass, and then talk about this. Now, if they pick up, let's say, so if they don't pick up, if they pick up 2 books and the book, the force book isn't contained, then by default, the only other option is for them to pick up 2 books, or it's this one and this one, or this one and this one, in which the force book is one of them. So let's say it's this one and this one. Then we ask the spectator to hand us a book. If they hand us this one, then it's really nice because they're left holding this one, and we can just take these books, place them to the side, and now we focus our attention on the spectator and the book that they're holding, and it just feels like they chose this book. Whereas if they pick up these 2 books and we ask them to hand us one, and they hand us this book, we say, okay, perfect, thank you. And they hand us this one, we say, okay, perfect, thank you. We will use this. As you can see, this just randomly selected book. Could have been any of these books, whatever the line is. Not to sound too cliche there, but the point is, if we do this, as Amanda says, fast and with confidence, it really does feel like no matter what they do, that this was just a fair choice of book. So we'll put these back and we'll continue with this book. So now we've narrowed it down to this book. I'm going to take a deck, can be shuffled. All we have to do to get this set up is run through the deck and make sure that the top 3 cards, in no particular order, are a 4, a 5, and an 8. So right now, I actually just ran through the deck and I already have a 4 and a 5, so I just need to find an 8 and bring that to the top. And that can be done or kind of just fidgeting with the deck. And also, sorry, I should get rid of the 10, so that's not in the way. Now I have a 8, 4, and a 5. And because those don't need to be in any particular order, this process of getting them on top can be fairly quick, so we don't need to like rearrange them once they're there. We just need those 3 on top. Once those 3 are on top, this is kind of the hardest part, I would say. We need to bring the book for briefly over the deck, and under the cover of this, we're going to take those top 3 cards and we're going to pass them to the right hand, so that then when we come away, we're holding onto these below the book. And this can be done quite quickly, although we don't need to be like too quick, so that it's like, don't need to be too unnatural with the action. But just so it's just for a moment, enough for us to get the cards. And so it could be while we're talking, for example, we have the cards, pick up, we reiterate. So we're going to use this book. So we're going to use this book. We can even have this part of the deck sticking out, so it feels like the deck almost never goes out of view, but we can still come over or come under here, clip those, pull them, bring these out. So it helps, I think, to have the hand in the book deep into the hand, so that these fingers can get as far across as possible, rather than like here, so here. So we come here, clip. And so it's almost like a top change almost, but the book is covering most of the action, right? So it's like, and if we get the break and then move these fingers up, that's going to allow these fingers to just slide under and take them. So that can be a quick action. So here, got the break, 1, 2, 3, lift it up a bit, hand comes over here, and perhaps we're going to do this thing where book comes over, and then we gesture to a spectator. So again, it is kind of like a top change in that way, where this hand's coming over, we'll clip in, then we're gesturing. But we probably want them deeper in so they're not showing at the side. So I guess we want a reason for picking up the book. So the book's here, perhaps we say, okay, perfect, so we're going to use this book and this deck. So we're going to use this. So perhaps a way we would chain this together and make it feel motivated for picking up the book would be to say, so we're going to use this deck and this book. And then hands come together, we clip, and then come across and we gesture and we say, could you actually take these cards and cut them anywhere? Just cut the cards. And then once they've cut, we say, perfect. And then we discard these, we pick these up, we say, okay, now we need a volunteer, or so now we need a volunteer, someone who's going to look through the book. And then we come over, hand both to them, or both back to the same person. But the essence here is that these cards are then going to drop below these, so that when we hand them the book and the cards, they're just going to lift them off and those cards will be on there. So we want to make sure they're decently flush, so that they're not like this when they lift the book up. Okay, just consulted with the book, and actually just a couple of things I should note or restructure here. Actually, at this point, so you have these cards, you run through and set them up before they get shuffled. So that can make it even easier, because this is before we give the deck out to be shuffled. It's not like we take it back and then we need to set them up. We're just here. We could even be doing this while they're sort of checking the book. So, all right, just flick through the book, make sure all the pages are different, all this stuff, right? As they're doing that, we're setting up. Now we come over, we get the break, and we say, okay, so we might gesture and say, okay. So now we're here, we have a break below the top 3 cards. And we're going to want to pick up this book, and we're going to do the same transfer. But what we're actually going to be doing is we're asking the deck to be shuffled. And so actually, I'm thinking maybe a better way of doing this would be, got the break here, don't even call attention to the cards. We've just had someone review, check the pages different while we've got this set up. Now we have the break here. Now this gives us, I think, a motivation to pick the book up and just kind of rest the hands as we say, take it back and say, okay. And we look at the spectator, direct the attention there, and say, okay, so you satisfied all the pages are different, there's no sort of trickery going on in the book, whatever we want to say. In doing that, we've stolen the cards below. So we pick up the book, kind of rest the hands here, pick up the book, rest the hands here, as we could even gesture back with the book after stealing those cards. So the beats of this are, when I pick the book up, book needs to go over the cards long enough to grab these cards, and then either we can gesture away with the book again, or we can gesture with the cards, or we can just like slowly separate again. So different ways you could kind of chain those together. Example, might say somebody's just looked through the book, take it back, say, okay, perfect. So you looked at this book and you're happy that there's no sort of trickery, no duplicate pages, all this stuff. And these, we're just kind of like gesturing using these. And that's in between those beats, the cards are being taken off. So from here, take it back. Okay, perfect. So you saw everything looked good. You're happy with this, no sort of trickery going on with the book. Okay, perfect. Okay, now can you take the cards and can you shuffle? So next we're gonna have someone shuffle. So cards are clipped here. We hand the deck out to be shuffled, just kind of holding the book casually. These cards below. So we can either let it hang down here, just rest on the table is probably easiest. Depending on your situation, you could also just stand with it here. It's probably slightly more natural than letting the book hang down, but I don't know, whatever. Probably fine, probably overthinking it here. You just want to make sure these cards are not being seen, so having this part of the book covering them. Once they're shuffled, you take them back. Well, actually, once they're shuffled, so now you hold out your hand, palm up, and you ask a spectator to, first of all, cut off any number of cards from the deck, discard those, and place the remaining cards on your hand. So now the other cards are on your hand. Depending on how they are in your hand, that's going to adjust how you come over. But once they're in your hand, you say, okay, perfect. And then whoever the next person assisting you is, you're going to bring these hands together. So if the deck gets placed on your hand like this, then we just adjust it so that we're ready to do this. Bits here, again, we just kind of adjust. We just hold the cards once they're in our hand in this kind of position. So now we go into, say, okay, perfect. Whoever's helping us next, whether it's the same person, different person, we're going to come together and we're going to hand them both the book and the cards because the cards are already in the hand. And so it's just kind of a natural action for us to go here and hand them both. And in the action of doing so, these cards we're going to sort of gather and let fall flush on top of the deck. So we want to make sure that they do end up flush on top of the deck and not like here, right? So we just want to make sure we place them so that when these cards come under, hand them to the spectator, we can just be adjusting a little bit under the deck as we are handing it off. Take them, these cards are here. If the deck is a little bit adjusted, it's fine because you would expect that anyway from being underneath the book and moving around. The only thing I'd mention here is you probably want to position whoever you're going to hand the book to with these cards. You probably want to position them to your left because if you were to do this and then hand it to someone on your right, I feel like that is slightly less of a natural action than if someone's on your left, just placing the book on the left hand with the cards, giving it to them. So if they're on your left, then maybe you step back, change the angles. Now they're here, and you can move here, give them here, rather than sort of just crossing over your body. You know, if you already have the book here, why you come in, taking it in your left hand, and then give in? In that case, it would make more sense to like do this and give, or, I mean, I guess you could just transfer them. There's one extra card. You could just do this and then clip them with the right hand and then pass. That would probably work too. But yeah, just be thinking if they're on your left, you want to use your left hand to give them the book. Right hand, if they're on your right, use your right hand or readjust, just so you don't end up doing something unnatural looking where you take it and then do this. But probably best just to, if you have multiple spectators, pick someone to the left of you for this, or place yourself so they're to the left, or I guess, like I said, do this. But again, you want to make sure they line up as well as possible. So from here, you can come under, together, here, and now. Again, they're a little bit skewed, but I think it's not going to be noticeable, especially because like the book's moving and stuff, and they're taking the cards. It's just going to be like, yeah. I do think it's easier to line them up if we place the book onto the left hand, but if we're going left, taking the right, and then going to the right, we'll just do our best to line them up. And then we can also maybe like move the deck. We can also maybe like shift the book a little bit as we give it to them, so it's natural for those cards to then be like a little bit beveled. And end of the day, what's going to happen is the spectator will have the cut packet of cards and the book, and the top 3 cards will be the cards that you held back. And there'll be a 4, a 5, and an 8. Now they're holding these. We say, okay, first of all, take the cards and take off the top 3 cards. And these are going to be used to generate page and a number. So we should only need 3. And I think saying that helps because we don't want to be like, take off 3 cards and be too specific or prescriptive about that. But we're just going to say, okay, so now we're going to want to generate like a page and a number. So if you just grab like 3 cards, that should be enough for that. Just take off 3 cards. Now the 4, 5, 8. Now the nice thing about this is you can say, okay, and then you can rearrange these in your hand as much as you'd like to sort of generate a page number, well, just to generate those numbers. And the thing is, there's only 6 possible combinations. There's only 6 possible combinations. And so what we've done is we've memorized those 6 words in advance. So we have 6 possible combinations, and we're going to memorize the word at each of those possible combinations. Now, the order of those combinations, we could either use the one Animan has in the book. The nice thing about that one is it's odd, an odd card, and then evens between. You could also just do from like lowest to highest, so starting with 45 and ending with 85. That one's also nice because it also ends and starts with the odd numbers and has the even ones between, and that way it's just like going up, it's just a ascending order. So that's probably maybe the simplest, but it's pretty similar to what Animan has. So if you want to choose that table, that's also cool. But yeah, let's say we're doing it that way. Let's look up what words we have. So beginning page 45, word 8. Okay. In this case, 1, 2, because we have this like these 2 words here, 1, 2. And it's also interesting to note when we're doing book tests, if we have stuff like this, where there's like italics, to know that ahead of time that that's a possibility. So later when we give instructions, we can say, oh, and if you come to a page where there's like italics or some sort of like heading, just count that as part of the words. And we just decide in advance, I guess, whether we want that or not. And that would be probably the same for like chapter headings and chapter subheadings and such. Deciding that in advance, making that part of the instructions and taking that into account. But here I'm going to include those. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the word is also. My first word is also. Now I'm going to go 48, page 48, word 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So also little. Now the next one would be 54. Page 54, word 8. So far, also little. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Aces. So also little aces. Now page 58, word 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It. So now little aces. It. Sorry, not now. Also. Also little aces. It. Now we have 84, 5. So page 84, word 5. Also little aces. It. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Advantage. That's a long one. Also little aces. It advantage. Almost sounds like we're giving some advice to these little aces. Page 85, word 4. What is this advantage? Oh, here's page 85. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4. Can. Also little aces. It advantage can. I like that. So yeah, so those are the words. As we can see, it's actually quite simple to memorize them. Memorizing words is not too bad because we can kind of form sentences and it just so those sentences can stick in the mind, right? Also little aces, it advantage can. And we know obviously now that the first word corresponds to the lowest page number. The last word corresponds to the highest page number, and also those 2 beginning and end ones are the odd ones, and the even ones are the 4 in between. So from here, there's a couple things. One, we could have the spectator, once they've sort of rearranged these however they like, say, okay, so the first 2 are going to be the page number, and the second one will be the word, like position of the word. So for example, if it's 67, 4, then go to the 67th page and look at the 4th word. if there are like italics or headings, just include those in the word. Start at the first word start at the very first word you can see on the page and go from there. Though I guess we don't want them to count like these things. So maybe just say, yeah. So if it was 67.4, go to page 67, look for the fourth word, and if it's in italics or it's like a chapter, if it's like the chapter page, the chapter subheading, count those, but don't count the little thing at the top of each page that tells you what chapter you're on, because that's going to be the same every time. And I don't want you thinking that's how I know, or how we want to do it, right? We just basically got to customize that advice. Whether you think that's too specific, maybe we don't need to be that specific, or maybe we just rule out anything that isn't normal sort of like words. So we could say, and we just in advance we then wouldn't have used the ones with the italics, and then we could say, for example, if it's 67.4, go to the 67th page, look at the fourth word, and as you're counting, just use like the normal words. So if there's like, I don't know, chapter headings or there's stuff in italics or subheadings, just skip that. Let's just focus on the words. So we can do it either way. Just kind of something to be aware of. Also, a lot of the time, that's not even going to be something to think about. Like there won't be these sort of italics or possibilities. So that also depends on the book. And you could also just go through these pages in a book, and if it feels like there's too many where that could be the case and it could be confusing, you could just use a different book. Okay. So now they're thinking of one of the 6 words, and we could just kind of fish that word, like Anima says, because we know it's got to be one of the 6 words we're thinking of. So we could start by saying, let's see. So we have the words also, little, aces, it, advantage, can. So in these, 50% of them start with the letter A. So we got a 50% chance of getting a hit if we say, like, okay, I'm getting, if we say, okay, I'm thinking the letter A. Is that the first letter? Again, there's 50% chance that will narrow it down to those. If they say yes, we know it's those 3. If not, we know it's those 3. We can further narrow. So if they said yes, we know it's either aces, also, or advantage. And so now we can say, now we can ask them, sorry, is it a long word or a short word? And if they say it's a long word, we know it's advantage. If it's short, we know it's either also or aces. And so at this point, we could say the last letter. I'm thinking it's like I don't know, it's either like an O, it's somewhere around there in the alphabet, maybe a bit further, but it's not O, is it? If they say yes, it's O, then perfect, we know it's also. If they say no, we say, yeah, it's going to be further than that. It's like an S, aces, right? And then, so if they said no to those A letters in the beginning, we could say, okay, perfect. So now we know it's either can, little, or it. So a way we can narrow this down is if we said first letter is A and they say no, we say, okay, so there's no A in the word. And this is nice because if they say correct, there's no A, then we know it's either little or it. But if they say yes, there is an A, then it's nice because then it's like, it feels like, oh, well, yeah, okay, well, I was thinking A, but yeah, I guess it just wasn't the first letter. Maybe it was the second letter. Can is the word, yeah. Whereas if we say A, is that the first letter? And they say no, we say, okay, so there's no A in the word. That just seems like, okay, we're just verifying what they told us, and we're not asking. That feels like we're not really using a question. We're not saying your word does not have A in it. We're not saying that's a statement, your word does not have A. Because then at that point, well, they might say, yes, it does. And then it looks like, we got it wrong. Whereas if we say, A is not the first letter, so your word doesn't have A in it, that just seems like we're almost, if the word does have A in it, it seems like we're questioning. So like, well, we were sure there was A in it. But if it doesn't, then we're just verifying and we say, so it doesn't have A in it. So your word doesn't have A in it. Okay, so interesting. Maybe I'm just thinking vowels, like strong vowels. Maybe like an I, because we know they both have an I. IT, because they both have IT, little and it. IT. And if at this point, if they're just reacting, and like, whoa, then we've got a good feeling that's maybe just the word. So if you say like, it's not the word, is it? Just the I and the T. And then, if we're reading the reactions, that's probably the case if they were reacting at this point. But if they still seem like they're waiting for more, IT. And if we say, if we just get it wrong, we think that's the word, and we say it's not the word, is it? And we say there's more. That's not the word, or we say that's not the word, is it? There's more, and they'll say yeah, there's more. Another T, maybe an E, little. And so even on that one, which is like we've gone down the most possible branches, like that, for that to guess little, that still had to go down like the most that was like the most possible guesses and branches we'll have, but it still feels quite direct, right? So from, if we imagine the word as little and we run through that whole sequence, it would be like okay, you've got a word, it doesn't begin with an A, does it? No, okay. There's no A in the word. Okay, I don't know why I was thinking A. Maybe just like vowels, strong vowels. Like an I, maybe. Yeah, I, like IT. That's not the word, is it? That's not the word, is it? There's more. Okay, yeah, IT, TL, little, right? And yeah, that still feels quite quick, even though we narrowed it down from 6. And I just love how this stuff works. I really love how this stuff can play out. And if you want more sort of ideas and notes on doing this sort of narrowing down stuff, and also like bonus ideas and extra little kind of effects, mini effects you can throw in within this, check out the previous book test video. I don't want to spend too long on this one. But as you can see, we can just kind of think of this in advance and know where to go down with these paths, right? And now, yeah, so that's that. Obviously, you'll have different words, so you can think of different ways of playing that out, but that's just an example. And as you can see, it's a lot of fun. Now, another thing you could do is if you wanted to narrow it down further before you even begin, you could do this trick or this ploy that Animan uses in the previous book test, where you have them open the book and take their finger and sort of like count to the word to say, okay, say they're turned to page 45 and they're going to the 8th letter, say, okay, go to the page number, and then starting on the first word, just count and move your finger like one at a time until you get to the one that's at your number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you say, okay, perfect. And now, if you've not been looking up to this point, or you've been turning around, or if you are looking, but as long as the book's shielded, what you're looking for is what side of the book their hand is on. And if their hand is on the sort of reader's right, it's an odd number page. If it's on reader's left, it's an even number page. So if you're looking at this from this way, then even numbers will be on your right, odd numbers on your left. But it's perhaps simpler just to remember and reorient yourself as if you were the reader, and reader's right is odd, reader's left is even. So then as soon as you see that, you can say, actually, I don't want to see anything from here, just close the book. And now we know we've narrowed it down, right? Where if it was odd, we know it's either the first or last. So in this case, also or can. And so now we can just go from those two. And that just narrows down what we have to do this initial sort of branching and guessing from. So it's even more quick, hopefully. And we can just do exactly what we did for those 6 words where we funnel and guess, but using those 2. And like Animan says, best practice might be to start by naming the first letter of the first word and then say, okay, no, let's try going backwards and now start at the end of the word, and now we named the second letter of the second word. And obviously, if in the first instance we get the first letter correct, we just keep going with that. Then if we don't, we know it's the other one, so we can go from the last letter of that one, go back. Or we can just, once we know based on the first letter which one it is, we can do it in a different way. For example, this one, if we said A, we can say like, it's not the first letter, but it's in there. Maybe you were like looking at it, and that's why I was seeing, because maybe it's like right sandwich in the middle, you're really focused on it. So I think A is in the middle, and then, you can move from there. Whereas if we say it's even, we narrowed it down to those 4. And so again, it's just less funneling to do because we have a smaller pool to kind of fish this word from. In this case, also, so it'll be little aces, it advantage. And yeah, so this just maybe makes it a little bit simpler, where we start with the A thing, and then that's again 50%. So we move to the advantage and aces. And At that point, we can do long, short, whatever we want to do at that point. And if not, then we go to the vowel I-E thing, and it just removes one question that we'd have to ask, so it can help streamline. Because in that case, we don't need to ask the follow-up, like, oh, so there's no A. Yeah, so that's how you do that. On the whole, really, really cool book test. Seems like the conditions are so impossible, so fair, but and yeah, borrowed deck, spectator chooses the book, they mix up the cards to generate the number. Just yeah, really, really beautiful stuff. Just so much fun. So hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one.